Today we're going to have the second part of the video, and what I really want to do is to talk about how projects are made in Hero, and talk a little bit about how you might want to navigate them, where you find them, and how you can use them to see how well your students are doing, or how well your children are doing. If I log in, what happens, it comes to the same home page as before, and this is set up in the Carer login, just to remind you that's important, because that's the login that you would be having. If you go to my work plan, which I talked about before, is what I'm going to focus on today is just what do these projects look like. What we said is there's two types, but the one that we're going to be focusing on is the lab projects, because they're the projects at the moment that your child will have in the school. So for example, if we look at a project, here's one here called Connect the Dots. If we click on Connect the Dots, what this will show you is how the project's constructed. And normally what you would have, in this case, this is a really simple project, but it's really important to understand that it's connected in the same sort of way. What we always start with any project, and this might connect a whole range of subjects, but it will have a big question. So this part of the Connect the Dots is how do we use Master Draw? And this big picture will give you what we're trying to encapsulate in the whole project. And sometimes that's by video or many different ways. And you can access that very, very quickly. We also have this thing called standards. Now standards are important. Now they could be strands, and I'll come on to that at a later date, but standards are where this relates to the curriculum and what areas we're going to be working on and how that actually allows us to assess the work that they're working at. So again, it's those bits that we're trying to put that show you the projects are connected, and they're really connected to real standards which are used in GCSE or across the school in many different ways. But we have projects that connect to these standards or strands. If you go into the top bit here, you have a navigation bar. We have the project overview, which is the bit I've just shown you. We have Connect the Dots. Now this is a module. Now modules are really important in projects because when we complete modules, modules allow us to colour code things. And when I get on to tell you how you can monitor your kids' progress, it's really important to understand that you need to finish a module first. So if I click into a module, what you get in this case is an overview, as always, about what we're trying to do. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, but it will give you a step-by-step guide to how you go about your work. And what it tells you here, okay, is what work there is to do. And usually in a module, there's a step-by-step approach. There could just be one step, there could be 5 steps. But what this does, it gives you instructions, it could give you videos, it could give you things that you need to do. It also gives you connections to the work that they're doing or bits of the worksheet. So this is a worksheet here which works on coordinates, which they could work through and they could be working on in their work. And kids will be going through that process, and I will be showing that in a later video as well, about how kids upload their work. But they're uploading that, they can use that work, and this worksheet here will give them instructions, so they have a way of getting to those parts there. Also, if you go into that, you can work all the way through. At the end, sometimes what you do have is the opportunity to have Check My Learning, and what that means usually at the end of the module, you want to refer it to standards that we've been talking about, and what this gives you is a step-by-step approach. So if you click on those tabs there, it gives you the next step. And what they normally work to is the ways in which it builds up the learning to help you at the end of it. And this then is always working to that big picture. So step 4 will then give you more work. Now in students login, which we can look at later and I can show that, is that they will have a way of uploading that work, and you'll be able a way of showing that in a minute where that work comes from. But all this bit is instructions to work to the final bit. Now because this has only got one module, you don't have a Check My Learning bit. If we had 2 modules, then you would have a Check My Learning bit at the end of this module here. But you just have what we call a final product. And this is the end point of a project. And in this bit here, these really connect to the standards. So at the bottom here, you'll find that they're connected to the standard bits. So again, you're doing your practice work where you're uploading to get to these different parts here, which could be the final product. And in some cases, we do give choice here. Sometimes you can own your own character. In option 3, you might want to do it as a computer program. So again, there's different ways in which we try to cater. They still give you the same standards you're trying to get at the end of it, but people do different things. The other thing I just leave you on about how projects work, and this is where I'll stop the video in a minute, but you can actually listen to it. So if you press this bit here, what this allows to happen is it actually reads out the text for you. And what that means, okay, is sometimes kids who do find things difficult and actually can't always, it will actually take you through.
So if you're ready to make a character move, check out this program. It's free and from MIT.
So it follows that through, and that's really helpful in lots of ways, because sometimes people can just listen to lots of text, and sometimes some people prefer that. Some people prefer just to read it, but it's just an added bit there. So what I've hopefully showed you in this short clip is what the project structure is and how you can navigate through a project and why those projects are put into that way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop that and we'll connect to some of these things in later videos. But really this video is just about showing you how projects are constructed in the school. So I'm going to say stop again